Welcome back to part 2 of the Nano Reef project. Today I'm actually going to start putting it together. So here you see the tank I'm planning to use. As I already said, it's 25 by about 42 centimeters and like 23 high. And I already put the mountings in there for the filter and for the heater. As filter, or actually I'm just using this as a pump to create some water flow. I'm using this Fluval U2 internal filter that I had laying around. Some time ago I bought a quite big lot of aquarium accessories. Actually this tank was intended to be a filter tank, but I cut off the top cover. It had only a small access hole here. I cut that off since it was damaged during shipping, and so this made me this nice little nano tank. And these filters both have some missing parts, but like the media baskets and stuff like this, but I will not need that anyway. So I will use that as a pump, and since I couldn't find any used heater in my box of parts, I got this cheap Chinese 50 watt heater. I already tested it, it works. I am assuming it will be fine. Actually, I like the implementation of the temperature setting. It's a nice scale, nice to use, so I put it between 24 and 26. So hopefully it will give us something like 25, we'll see. And I found out that you can take off this plastic cover on the bottom. It's just for protection, and I will take this off since this will allow me to put it a little bit deeper, just since the height in this tank is quite limited. Actually, funny thing, I bought this one because the 25 watt, which also would be adequate, actually was larger than the 50 watt unit. So this will go in here. Suction cups are falling off, but can fix that. So this should go in there like this. For the filter, it's actually in new unused condition. Actually the middle basket is there. But the reason I'm using this one and not trying to sell it or using it somewhere else, this cover is a little bit broken, and if you have to open and close it often, it's annoying. Maybe I will take this cover off anyway, I don't know. So actually can take off this holder, I already have one. So the nice thing about this filter is that you can select if you want the water coming out the top, the bottom, or distribute it over this row of holes. I'm going to use the lower outlet, and actually what I'm going to do is put something on the inlet of the pump to make it so it sucks the water from the surface, so essentially make a surface skimmer. Okay, to make this work as a surface skimmer, I had these pipes laying around. They are inlet pipes for the Fluval external filters, and I have like 3 or 4 of them, and they have a non-return valve in here. It's just a plastic ball. I will just take that out. I already have taken it out of that one. See, it's just going through. So I took that ball out, and in the lower end here is a rubber connector, and this allows me to just put it down in there and connect it up to the pump. It's still a little bit too long. I'm going to fill the tank with water and then cut this to an appropriate height. So this will go in like this. Actually, I don't need this little air tube. Okay, so I filled the tank up all the way to the top, as much as I feel comfortable with for continuous operation. So now I will just take my pipe, stick it in there, and check how much I have to cut off. Okay, so I guess what I will do is just mark the height of the water level and then take it out of the tank again and figure out where exactly to cut it. To do this, since putting a mark with a Sharpie on something that's wet is a little difficult, and I can't find my Sharpie honestly, I just take a knife and make a little mark in the plastic. I will cut it off anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so pulling that out again, and it's hard to see for you, but I'm definitely able to see. I made a little mark there. So let's figure out where to cut that. Okay, so looking at this, my finger is right at the mark. I want to have it like the middle of the water level around in the middle of the basket, so it has some actually I will put it a little bit deeper, so there's some room when the water level decreases due to evaporation. So I will cut it about here. So let me just take the Dremel, cut it off, and see you then. Okay, so now I have cut it to length. I actually didn't use any power tools. I just took a knife and made a big scratch all the way around and then just snipped it off like this. It was really easy. It's quite soft plastic to cut, and then I can just put this on top. And so let's get that in there again. Okay, it's on there, and like this it should now suck from the top water layer, and actually I can't close that cover anymore anyway, so I will just take it off completely. So let's start up the filter to see if it's working the way I intended to. And for sure it's not sucking air, that's good. That was a little bit of fear that I had. And the top one, so yeah, okay, now it's set to. Okay, when it's set to full blast, it tends to sometimes pull a little air. I think if we push that just a little bit deeper. Yeah, okay, like this it's not sucking air, so that's fine. Okay, so that's the shelf where the tank is going to live. For now I'm going to take out this to make it a little bit easier. And I removed most of the water, so let's put it in there. And here it comes. And don't worry about the back, I might just put a black piece of cardboard or something like this behind. So I will put the heater and the filter back in, find a nice place for the wiring to go, and then probably it's time to prepare the light and prepare, of course, some salt water. Okay, so I filled up the tank with water, plugged in the heater, so we will get a nice 25 degrees. It's important that you get it at temperature first before you add in salt, otherwise some components of the salt will participate out. I will also plug in the pump to help heating it evenly. I just unplugged it because it made a lot of noise drawing in air. I didn't fill it all the way up to the top since we will be putting in some rocks, so it will displace a little bit of water. I measured the height of the water to be 17 centimeters right now. The other dimensions we already know, so I will use that to calculate the volume, and then we're going to put in some salt. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, something you also should of course put in there is a thermometer, especially if you're using a cheap Chinese heater, since we want to be sure that the temperature is right. We're looking for 25 degrees C. Okay, now we have to determine how much salt to put in there. So first we need to know the volume. So quite easily just multiply all dimensions. So we have 17 centimeters in height, 25 centimeters depth, and 42 centimeters wide. So this gives us 17.85 liters. So we're looking for a salt content between 33 and 35 grams per liter. So I typically go for 35. So let's multiply this by 35, and this gives us a total of 624.75 grams of salt. So that's what we're looking for on the scale. Okay, so let's turn that on and let's open our bucket of salt that's going to last forever with that small tank. And there's some sort of debris falling in there. Get that out of there. Okay, so let's go for our 600 something grams. Actually, I guess I should go and get a bigger dish. And probably also a bigger spoon would be nice. Actually, it's not dangerous in any way. You could touch it with your hands, but I don't want to bring any kind of contamination or something in there, like the grease and dirt you have on your hands. Well, yeah, that is way too small. Let me get another container. Okay, so take this off there, put that on, zero out the scale again. Okay, so I already can give you the advice, start with a bigger container if you're doing that. Okay, so oh, that was too much. Okay, we are quite close. Actually, the scale is not very accurate, so using a proper scale for doing this, especially on the scale of tank on the dimensions of the tank are so small. Yeah, I call this close enough because it was like 24.85, so 625 grams, that will be fine. Okay, so while the water is still heating up, let's make ourselves some light so we can see. I have these white LED modules laying around that I'm gonna use. They're left over from another project. And I also have a reel of 5 meters of blue LED stripe. I will just apply one piece of the whole length and check how it looks. If it's blue enough, and if I need some more blue light for the fluorescence of the corals, I will just take another piece of this, cut it off, and then just solder it on. This already has a adhesive backside, and for the other ones I just gonna use some good old double-sided tape. Okay, so I'm gonna get myself a piece of the length of the lights. And actually what I might do is just put them all next to each other. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so I will put them about here, a little bit to the back. That will be perfectly above the tank. And oh, actually I think I made a little mistake, since these can be interconnected with these pieces of wire, and obviously if I do it like this, there's not enough space for them, so okay, put this one on here, put this one on here, and I actually will change my plans a little bit and give them a little bit more space, so I have an even distribution of light. Just came to mind that that might look better. Okay, so 2 in the back, 1 a little more in the front, and in between the blue ones. And I hope, yeah, these are long enough. Perfect. And for the blue, well, have a look. Like this seems fine. So I cut it there, and if I need more, I will just put the second stripe right next to it and solder them together. Peel that off, and actually I can put it on this double-sided tape. Okay, so I got the lights installed. This is the blue and white light together. If you switch off the white, the blue, actually I guess it's still a little bright for the night. I might implement some dimmer or something for like a night illumination, but just so you got an impression of the ratio between white and blue light. I will see how that works out. I probably will lower this like 1 or 2 more holes that will give a little bit more light inside the tank. And yeah, I know the wiring is a mess. I will clean that up, but I wanted to get it running for now. The temperature now is around 24 degrees. The heater has switched off, but it takes some time, some cycles switching on and off to settle to the 25 degrees. But 24 is also already fine to put in the salt. So actually I will get my lamp out of the way a little bit and just dump that in there, and that looks like a crazy amount. I mean, it's more than half a kilogram of salt, and you should really have the pump running while you do this, just so it mixes up better, and this will help it dissolve faster. Okay, so as you see, all the salt has dissolved. The temperature is stabilized at 25 degrees, which is exactly what I set the heater to, so thumbs up to that Chinese heater, I guess. It's working fine, no complaints so far. Okay, so now for the really cool part, I got myself a box with some rock, actually with one piece of live rock. My dealer called me up today telling me that they will be getting some new rocks delivered, and this is freshly coming from the plane. It has been still in Malaysia in the ocean, I guess, like 2 days ago. So let me unpack that. And here we go, I guess. It's hard to see with the light in the background. It's dripping everywhere, so I will not show around anymore. I will just put it in there. And as you can see, this piece really fits the corner perfectly. I choose to first only go with one piece. Maybe I will put a second rock like here in the front, I'm not sure, but I want to have some space left since I already have some contact in the neighborhood for someone who will give me some coral frags, and one is coming on quite a big piece of rock, so I want to have still some space left. Of course I will put some sand in there. It should arrive today, but unfortunately it didn't, so I don't know, I guess the parcel will arrive tomorrow. Okay, so now after I put the rock in there, I will just use one of these stickers to mark the water level, so I know until where I have to fill it up when there's some evaporation happening. Well, it's about 1 hour after I put the rock in the water, and there's already some signs of life. Let me show you. So there's a little starfish. I don't know if the camera will focus on that. And I already just spotted a little snail around here. I'm not sure if I will find it. Okay, I just turned off the blue light because it seems to be easier for the camera with just the white light. You see that little yellow spot in the center of the picture? That's the snail I was talking about. By the way, that's how it looks without the blue lighting. And there's our little friend, the starfish. One thing I just noticed, my plan of skimming the surface isn't working out since the casing of the filter is in the way. So I guess I will just take my cordless drill and put some bigger holes here in the side, like 10 millimeters or something, just above the top slots, or maybe just cutting out a whole section. I might just cut out a whole section. Okay, as you can see, I just went ahead and cut a piece of that casing away since the lid will not go on there anyway, so now it's working the way I intended.